one beyond my wildest dreams. Maybe that road could have carried me to streets of gold. Things aren't always as they seem. Looking back on all the chances that I missed, some I held, some slipped away. One street over where my memories exist, I wondered what would change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today. Except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today.
Good morning, Robertson County. What you doing? This is 1100 WSGI. I'm Eugene Laverne, and this is a little thing we call One Street Over, a chance for you to get to know, hey, what's going on down the street for more of a living? What's happening with my neighbors and all those things. And on Thursday mornings now, we are very intentional about talking about sports in Robertson County. I'm so thankful to my friend Jamie Nixon, Nixon Pro Media, who came on he came on with Trent Cobb, to talk about just stuff, and we got to talking sports, and I just love how God develops relationships. You know, he just does it. And it's so much fun, and so I'm so thankful to have you part of this.
Well, I'm happy to be a part of it, and that's kind of how it happened. You know, Trent had us coming on, and we was talking about just different things that he's involved in and things like that. So that was a lot of fun. And then, yeah, you're right. We just started talking about sports, and you're like, well, why don't you come on and talk about sports? I was like, okay, I can do that. Really would still, if you guys know anybody would connected with other schools, of course, I'm connected with East Robertson. We would love to have them on as well.
Absolutely.
so they could talk about their school. Because sometimes I feel a little selfish coming in here and talking about East Robertson, but I also try to get educated with most of the schools, you know, and different things that are going on in the county. We tend to have, from time to time, we have Blaine come on, who is with the newspaper, and he can shed a light on, I think one of the best segments you had was the one segment where you guys talked about all the kids, all the student athletes in Robertson County who have signed, who have committed to colleges to go on and play sports.
Yes.
So I think that was really good. But we just want more of it. You know, we just want to continue to highlight these student athletes and all that they do. And it doesn't make them any more special just because they play a sport, because there's tons of kids that, you know, do FFA, they do band, you know, there's so many more extracurricular activities. It's just that sometimes we tend to get wrapped up in our sports, and we just want to kind of bring that to people who are wanting to stay up to date. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I just can't say enough about how much I appreciate the things you've been helping me understand about Greenbrier, because as a new teacher there, I want to support the kids and I want to support these students because I have such an admiration for athletes and the devotion that it takes. And And I'm clueless. I don't really follow sports naturally. I have to be intentional about it. I always enjoy it, and I love the students that I've gotten to know that are athletes are just so special to me, like Melvis Lopez. We're so proud of that young man. Placed 7th at state with wrestling, and it was so funny when Blaine was in here and mentioned him, and I was like, I know him. And he had heard of it. And so I was so excited for him. And I've got several football players, that we went outside yesterday, and Carson is on the football team and just a runner. I mean, he, and just seeing those guys out there and, talking about running and how they, just all the things. Just thank you for all the exposure and
running something I don't want to do.
I used to. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I've already had my hips replaced.
Well, it's really crazy. Back in the late 70s, early 80s, or throughout the 80s and 90s, when East Robertson had Coach David Colley, who, see, I don't know if you know this, East Robertson won state championships in 83, 87, 88, 89, 92 state runner-up, and then they won last year, 2022. But during that time when Coach Colley was there, if you played basketball for David Colley at East Robertson from the time you was a freshman to the time you was a senior, every kid that he coached except one went to at least one state tournament.
Wow.
It's pretty incredible. So when they're at the old school out there on East Robertson Road, they used to run when football season was in. If you wasn't a football player, you and the basketball team, you ran from East Robertson all the way out to Orlando Park, and then you would turn around and you'd come back. It was a total of 4 miles. And I vowed then that I was not a runner. I was not going to run. I got tons of running in college, and I love to play basketball to this day. But this, court's 90 feet, and I can't be any further away than 90 feet from where I started.
Yeah.
When you run 2 miles away, it means you got to run 2 miles back. And that doesn't interest me. I'm only gonna run if something's after me.
I got you though, but I'll tell you, for those coaches that condition their players to that degree, it always pays off, as you just said.
Oh, it was,
and that's how my coach was. And conditioning, because whenever it would come down to the wire, we could run circles around the opposing team because we had conditioned so well.
And I will agree with that. I'll take it one step further though. I still believe that we ran 4 miles because we played 4 quarters. That was his.
Interesting.
That was how he came up with 4 miles.
Okay.
Somebody asked him one time, why not 2 miles? Why not 3 miles?
Yeah.
Why not 5 miles? Well, we played 4 quarters. I believe it was also a mental thing. I think
Agreed.
I think it was a mental, long distance running. There's been tons of studies to say, does it help with short running distances? Is it better just to run sprints and condition yourself to run sprints, because that's what you run in basketball? So how does, and there's scientific reasoning that says it does, and there's some scientific reasoning that says it doesn't. People are going to argue about it. I still think the biggest thing was it was mind over matter at that point. It's like you've already conquered 4 miles, before the season started. Conquering 4 quarters was not that hard.
Amen. I like how you just said that, and I agree with that. And I never thought of it in that perspective, because our coach, Coach Jim Long, back in up at Lowe's High School in West Kentucky, y'all, he conditioned, and that was one of the things that when I got to where I could really run, that's just clicked for me, and that's when I became an athlete. And I can't say enough about it. When I see these student athletes that don't condition, I'm like, I don't care what you play, conditioning needs to be a part of it. And the coaches that seem to really go into that, they have the edge. I truly believe it. So you guys are headed East Robertson. Let's talk East Robertson, because that's our focus right now. Like you said.
Well, I was going to go over Greenbrier,
Go ahead.
Greenbrier girls who played Hillwood on February 24th, and they won. They won big, 64-30. Then they played against Murfreesboro Central on the 27th this past Monday, and they got beat. And so they were eliminated.
Right, but still.
They
did
a great
really
season.
well. Yeah.
Got to the region semifinals. And if they'd have won one more game and got into the region championship, then they would have, if you win the region, you host a sub-state game or sectional game. If you lose, you can go travel. The region championship at this point is the only game you can lose. So then Springfield girls, they got eliminated first round against Henry County, and then see if I have the other. I believe that was the only girls that were in the tournament.
Yeah, I got a house for you. Allergies.
When I started talking, my voice just starts.
Yeah.
East Robinson girls lost to, which was a surprising loss. East Robinson was number 1 in the district, won the district, and they were playing number 4 seed Red Bull and Springs, and they got beat 51-42 by 9. Red Bull and Springs had a girl that during the game, we stopped the game to honor, because what a great accomplishment, but 2,000 points. Yeah, that was a big accomplishment.
You better believe it.
And then
That's
Joe
incredible.
Burns, who was number 3 in the district, they got beat by Pickett County, who was number 2. And Pickett County is a good girls basketball team. So, so that was kind of how the county kind of fared. White House Heritage beat Loretto boys, and which was a big win for them. And then they got beat the other night by Fairview. So everyone in the county is, and Joe Burns. I got a great story about a Joe Burns basketball player, but Joe Burns played Pickett County on Tuesday night, and they got beat, and because we could have played Joe Burns again tonight if they would have won.
Right.
They lost, so we're playing Pickett County for the region championship. Last night we're at church, we're at youth group. I help out with our youth group, and our church meets at East Robinson High School.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
Right, I think you mentioned that earlier.
And so Wednesday nights we're inside the school, and I see this guy walk in. And me and Matt Stewart, the youth pastor, we said, "Who's that?" And I looked at his sweatpants had Joe Burns football on them. I said, "Well, it looks like Taylor Head, who plays quarterback football team, point guard for the basketball team, and he signed with Trevecca to play baseball." So me being me, I just walk over because he sits down at one of the tables all by himself, and he's dating a girl that goes to our church. And I walk over and I said, "What's your name, man?" He said, "Taylor." I said, "Taylor Head?" He said, "Yeah." And I said, "Man, it's been a pleasure to watch you play sports this year." I said, "It's been a pleasure to watch you play football, watch you play basketball." I said, "Unfortunate loss the other night. Man, you guys had a great season." But it was just kind of cool. I was like, but then at the same time, I was like, the rivals that East Robinson and Joe Burns are, like you're dating a girl and you're like, "Hey, you want to go to church with me?" "Sure." "Or where do you go to church at?" "Oh, well, Life Center." "Okay, well, where's your church at?" "Oh, we meet at East Robinson High School." "Oh, great."
And he's going to come in with his Joe Burns stuff on.
I love that.
Isn't that great? Isn't that fun? I love that. That is so funny.
He kind of come in. He had a yellow like just T-shirt on. It had something else on it, but he had his Joe Burns sweatpants on. I was like, that's low key going. I'm not coming in all red and red and white.
That's funny.
But I'm still gonna wear my Joe Burns stuff. So Taylor, I know I talked to you about doing the broadcast and about doing the radio. If you are watching or you watch this later, once again, man, tip my hat to you and your high school career, and wishing you the best in baseball and as you go forward into college playing baseball.
You know something I would really love to do, and we did this before COVID, is we started bringing in some standout seniors to just talk to them on radio, and help me do that. I want to bring in some athletes. I want to bring in the academic ones. I want to bring in some of these students that have just really worked hard to excel, and let's just give them a minute to just share a little bit about their heart, about their time in school, and what their hopes are for their future. Because I love hearing from these young people. I get so tickled at my students, and I'll ask them about something. I'm like, "Well, do you know what this is?" And they're like, "We're really young, Miss Vivia. We don't know what you're talking about." And I get so tickled at them because I'm like, "You really are. I mean, oh my goodness, it just blows my mind how young they are." I mean, my kids some of my students are, like 14, 15 years old. That's just a minute ago. And I'm just fascinated by the experience with these young people.
It's really funny. It's really crazy to think that the kids in high school or kids in school right now, things they never interacted with.
Yeah.
They really never interacted with a home phone.
I know, that's hysterical.
They've never really interacted with any other, without the retro of the record coming back. They've never interacted with CDs and with cassette tapes and things like that. So it's really unique. I don't know. I don't know where the cutoffs are, so I don't want to offend you or anything like that. I know that I'm Gen X, you know. So, and I read a thing the other day talking about the Gen X is that we've experienced the biggest change.
I think so. Yeah.
Like when I was little, and huge Kiss fan. Seen them 27 times. But when I started getting, my brother started buying me Kiss records. I would get the records. Well, then it turned in. Well, actually, to be honest with you, my very first Kiss anything was an 8-track.
Okay,
So I get
an 8-track,
that.
yeah.
I had a record. Then it went to cassettes. We've seen CDs in my heyday, and I'll never forget one day holding my iPod, and I remember having an iPod and a cell phone, a little flip phone, and I said, the day that they merge these two is going to be incredible.
And there you go.
And it was crazy, it was like, wow. So
It's fun. I mean, it is fun just to sit and I'm 60, so I'm right on the edge of baby boomer. And so I don't really know what they call us, but I'm technically right there on the edge of baby boomer, so I might be on the very back end of baby boomers, but then whatever's beyond that, I don't even know. But
by the way,
yeah,
quick stat that I learned from a lady. This has nothing to do with sports, but you said baby boomer, so I want to bring this out because we give the millennials such a hard time. All the people who aren't working anymore, and we blame it on, well, the millennials don't want to work. Do you know the biggest age group that didn't come back to work after COVID?
Baby boomers. I don't have any doubt. And because they were right at retirement age, a lot of them. And
they made up. I mean, think about it. There's so many of them. So when they stopped working, it took a lot of people out of the workforce. It's not that millennials aren't working. There's just not as many of them.
There are just not as many of them. And I'll tell you one thing, too, about baby boomers. We were incredibly spoiled because the generation that raised us came out of World War II. And they, you just, whatever you've been through, you don't want your children to have to endure it. And so you tend to spoil. And now, I was very blessed to grow up with my parents were really Vietnam era. Now, my dad just missed Vietnam barely, but, I had a really dear friend, a hired hand of ours that we lost in Vietnam. And so they grew up in the Korean War, Vietnam era more so. So they kind of came into that wanting to spoil, but they were farmers, and so I had the pleasure and the great fortune to grow up in a farming community, so I was taught work ethic. But some of the people who I grew up with, not so much. They were rather spoiled, and then they spoiled their kids even more so. And you just raise a generation that's like, I want it handed to me. Have you ever heard Rudy Kalis's testimony?
I've seen him several times.
He's so good. He was talking about, I just stumbled across where he spoke up at Northfield Church this morning because I was looking for something to listen to just to kind of get my day going.
He spoke for FCA too a couple years ago here in Springfield.
He's phenomenal. I just love his story. But he was talking about being in the newsroom and having these 20-somethings come in and they're like, well, I'm having to work weekends and and the work ethic. And that's one of the biggest things that work ethic is. That's why I talk to my students about. I'm like, work ethic is such a thing, and that's why I have so much respect for sports and the athletes, because they are taught a work ethic from their coaches if they don't get it at home. And it's just so special. And I know we're going around in circles here.
That's all right, yeah.
But anyway,
it can all come back.
Yeah,
that's the cool thing about sports is because you can relate it so much to life. Because you think about those kids and their work ethic nowadays, and it's kind of crazy, how what work some kids will put in and what work some other people won't put in.
Right.
And you've really got a generation now, just thinking outside sports, that would rather work. They would rather have more free time than have money. I mean, it's just what it is. And so, and I think it's the same thing that they saw their parents work themselves to death and work all the time and were never home. And they made a decision they're not going to be like that. But anyways, back to sports. Tonight, around 4:30, I'll be driving to Jackson County, where it is the region championship. East Robertson will take on Pickett County. And when the Indians win, I always like to speak stuff into existence, but when the Indians win, we will then host the sub-state game Monday night at East Robertson. Now, if they don't, then we'll have to go play the winner of Chattanooga Prep. We'll play the winner of Chattanooga Prep and Van Buren, which last year Van Buren won, and we lost the region championship to Clay County. So we had to, on our state title run, we actually had to go on the road for the sectional, which I still call the sub-state. I don't know why they changed it to sectional. I think sub-state is such a cooler name, but
yeah, I
anyways.
do too. Honestly, I honestly, the whole thing about not being eliminated once you get beat kind of threw me, because I'm not, when I played basketball, you got beat, you're done. That's it.
Yep.
And the fact that you've got these opportunities to play again, and so you're saying that's what happened last year. They got beat and then came back and ended up winning state. So it can happen.
Yeah.
But it'd be awesome if they did have a
in
game here next.
In '89, when I was a freshman on the varsity team, same thing happened. We lost the region, and we had to go on the road and play Monterey up in Cookeville.
Okay.
And we played at Cookeville High School, and we won that game, and then we won the state.
Oh, wow. See, there you go.
Yep.
There you go. It's cool stuff. And
Yep.
so get out and support your East Robertson Indians tonight.
Yep.
And what time is the game, did
The
you
game
say?
is at 7.
And you're going to broadcast it. Will you be able
No.
to? No, because it's a tournament.
Well-
What happens with that?
So here's the deal. There's a thing called, and I have to watch what I say because there's a organization called the NFHS. They set the rules and everything. Like when you look at our officials' books, it's NFHS. The basketballs are stamped with NFHS. And they go around to schools and counties, and they would go to, probably to Pat Brown, who's the athletic director, who, by the way, is retiring, and I'm trying to get him to come on before this year's up. But they would say, hey, let's put in these cameras and everything into your school, and then and people can then sign up and pay to watch the games, and you get X amount of money. Well, it's kind of unclear exactly how much money each school gets, but I have really, for what we're able to do at East Robertson, and once again, I would love to tell anybody in Robertson County about what I do. I'll tell you exactly what I do, but even Terrence Summers with Social Dweebs, we're able to raise money, and that money gets to stay at the school. It doesn't go to anybody else. But when I go, if a school is a NFHS school and they're broadcasting, they have the right to refuse. I think they're supposed to refuse to have anybody else come in and stream because they have the rights to it.
Okay.
So I'm not allowed to go in and stream. Now, I don't know that they can stop anybody from doing it on their personal account. We just couldn't do it from a school account. We couldn't have our big production and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure the other night some people were trying to stream. However, in Jackson County, as far as AT&T goes, I had to go outside to make scoring updates. So I wouldn't have been able to
Link. You just couldn't get the coverage.
I wouldn't have been able to broadcast anyways because
Right.
of no Wi-Fi signal.
Right.
So that's that. So we're going there tonight, and the Pickett County team is a very well coached team. Their coach, Coach Eminette, he played at Pickett County. He's got a boy that plays there. He had 2 sons that graduated last year. He played at Wake Forest. He played Division I. They're going to be a very smart basketball team, really gritty. They're not as tall. Them beating Joe Burns the other night was a big surprise, to be honest with you. Thought Joe Burns was probably the better team. But they just play really hard and really gritty. Very smart basketball team, very well coached, and they came out on top. So we're having to face them. We're going to have to try to make them play the style of basketball that we want to play. And we, I do want to say this, and I don't know, pretty sure Elijah's not watching, but Elijah Groves, our junior, he should have been a Mr. Basketball candidate this year, but he's a junior, and there's some other seniors that are ahead of him. He's 5 points away from 1,000 points.
Wow.
Yeah.
It'll happen tonight.
So it'll happen tonight.
That's awesome.
We won't talk about it tonight because it's such a big game.
Sure.
Probably Monday night. When we win Monday night, we'll probably honor him before the game. Just go ahead and get it out of the way. Say something about it. But yeah, we're really excited for him. We got a great set of seniors with Sean Groves, Carson Craig, Mason Edson, Zachariah Prince, and Tanner Flynn. And those guys who all, they won it last year, they definitely want to go out this year, going as far as they can go. And, the goal is always that goal ball at the end of the year.
Bet.
So that it's just really exciting stuff. And we're, it's the buzz that starts to happen around that school because everybody knows, okay, because this is the game you got to get to. Once you get to this game, it's kind of like, okay, win or lose, we're still in it. Win or still lose, we can still punch our ticket on Monday night wherever we go, and then you have a week off because girls play the state tournament, and then you've got to win 3 games.
Okay.
And if you win those 3 games, then you're state champion.
I love it. So much fun. So exciting. Such exciting times. I'm excited for you guys over at East Robertson and talking with Jamie Nixon from Nixon Pro Media and all things East Robertson sports. And if you want to come on and get some love for your teams, just contact Jamie, contact myself, and we'll bring you in. And we try to cover all the stuff going in on the county. But again, East Robertson, they're going to be playing tonight, and we just absolutely throw all of our support to them. We're going to pause for a second and talk about my friends Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. And I wanted to mention them while I had you in here because they're always part. Well, they're up in Cross Plains. They've been there for 27 years, I think, Barry told me the other day. They're part of the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival. That's in your back door as well. They're at Kilgore Park. And that's happening 3rd weekend in May, so we encourage you to save the date. We'll be there, and it's always just such a wonderful thing. And they're so active in the community. I know Barry and Rebecca, they support the local sports and all the things, and you love working with people like that.
Rebecca does the Kick for Cash, I believe, for soccer,
Right.
where you can go out there and try to kick a soccer goal and win some money.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just to encourage you that if you want to work with somebody in real estate that knows the area, they specialize in Robertson County properties, but they also buy and sell in the surrounding counties across the state line in Kentucky, and they care about the community. You'll see Barry's work with videography on the screen at the Open Door Pregnancy and Research Center dinner coming up on Monday night. He always works with that. And so it just always pouring into the community and understanding what's going on in real estate. And if you want to be a realtor, they're saying, come on, let us mentor you with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. Barry is our marketer in the bunch. He is a Zillow certified photographer, licensed drone pilot, does a 360-degree virtual reality home tour. We'll get you up on realtor.com. Rebecca studies. She is one of the first in the area. She is one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist, which just illustrates she stays up to date and knows how to cross those T's and dot those I's. If you want to contact them, go to sellwithbecky.com or buy, B-U-Y, robertsoncounty.com, or just call Becky at 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. Let them know U-Turn sent you. Mr. Jamie Nixon in the house. Tell them how to get in touch with you with Nixon Pro Media before we forget to do that.
Yeah, nixonpro.com or 615-543-1973. But yeah, just nixonpro, nixonpro.com. And the last time I was on, I know I missed last Thursday, but we talked about trying to come up with a list of phenomenal athletes,
Yes.
the history of some athletes.
Over the entire
I got a
history.
couple names to throw out.
Okay.
From Joe Burns, James Gardner, phenomenal basketball player. And I'm just throwing some names out because I started asking some people. Got a chance to talk to Coach Carlisle up there, who is coach at Joe Burns for decades. And he also mentioned the name Mark Allen at Greenbrier. So I was going to give you that name and let you ask around there at Greenbrier a little
Mark
bit.
Allen.
Mark
Okay.
Allen, I do believe, is the name that he gave me.
Okay.
So yeah, and so yeah, that, and I'm still trying to compile all of this list of names, and we'll see, and we'll bring up their schools and the sports that they played and stuff like that. But you know, I think sometimes Robertson County is kind of forgotten with the amount of athletes that have come through here. So
Yeah, and you know, the book about Coach Smith that's just come out,
Yep.
it talks a lot about all the different athletes. At least that's with Springfield, right? Yeah, 'cause I'm learning. But that would be probably a good place to get some leads
Yep.
on some of these great athletes. But Mark Allen, you said,
Mark
from
Allen,
Greenbrier.
yeah.
Mark Allen from Greenbrier. Very good. Do you have anything else for us, my friend, before
that's
we head
it.
out?
Just
Okay.
you guys all stay safe, and just you know,
Now, Monday is the first Monday. Will you be back, or will Blaine be back? That's y'all's
I'm
slot.
trying to get Blaine to come with me.
Okay.
I'll try to be
Okay.
here. Yep.
Because that's your full hour, and we'll be
know.
talking about all things.
Yeah,
So-
I'm actually going on the rate. I'm doing something today like this with Blaine. He's called and has me coming on, but I'm doing the video through the phone.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I'm sure he's doing that from Main Street.
Yep, he is.
They have all their social media
Yep.
stuff. They do wonderful,
Yep.
and so definitely follow them and just stay up
But
to date on
I'll
that.
get with him and I'll figure it
Awesome.
out for Monday.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right, thank you, my friend. We'll get reset here and wait for Brian and Tiffany to come on in here. But while we're doing that, I want to talk to you about our Bible reading that we're doing. I know if you've been following along with us, we've been doing this and keeping you up to date on the scriptures of the day. So today is March 2nd. We are finally out of Numbers and into Deuteronomy, and we're in Deuteronomy 4 through 6 and Psalms 54. I'm up to date on the through. I've gotten through up to Deuteronomy. I'm actually a little bit ahead in Deuteronomy, but I'm behind in the Psalms, and so I'm trying to get up to date on that. I'm doing most of my Bible reading these last several weeks have been audible. And I can't say enough about that, guys. If you're somebody like me that has a really hard time sitting down at the table and turning the pages, which I love to do, I absolutely love to do that, but my schedule does not really make that possible a lot of times because I got a lot of stuff going on. Well, if you've got Bible Gateway, you can turn on Bible Gateway and listen to it audibly, and it is absolutely wonderful, and you will get so much of it. Sometimes I'll get busy and I'll re-listen. I've re-listened to, come on in, Brian. I've re-listened to Numbers and some of the stuff that in Leviticus, which is really hard to get through again and again, just to try to make sure I'm not missing it. And it's so funny. Passages that I will hear and I'll think, oh my goodness, I missed that. And one of the things I'm really enjoying doing right now is because I'm behind in Psalms for our daily Bible reading is I'm just listening to a Psalm one after the other. And man, it's so cool. And it's just, if you've never done that, I highly recommend you do that. And if you want to get up to date with us on the daily Bible reading, reach out to Rachel Culver and she'll give you the whole list. And she'll also put you on the email list, which is just wonderful, these things that she's sending us and keeping us up to date. But you can, again, join us today in Deuteronomy 4-6 and then Psalms 54. That's where we are in our daily Bible reading with Bethlehem Baptist and Rachel Culver. Planning on having her in here tomorrow. She's got a son getting married, though. She's mama of the groom, so she kind of busy right now. And I haven't done my ad yet, so since Brian's in here, I'll just let him help me do the ad for Cumberland Connect.
Ah, yeah.
So are we loving the high-speed internet? It's almost just like, oh, yeah, we have a gig, and it's wonderful. Your wife works from home, and you need
predominantly, yeah. She works for the state, and so she has to log on to their servers too, which takes an incredible amount of bandwidth out of ours. But it's been super smooth, and just overall, I have 2 kids too, so we're all streaming in the house a lot, and I'm working from home some in between meetings sometimes, and so a lot of internet needs there, and it's more than met those, and so. Very, very pleased so far with the service, the price, and the speed of everything. Because I mean, that's where it's going. And I've been a loyal DirecTV customer for years too, and I may be moving away from that because I've never had internet fast enough to be able to stream everything. I stream live sports. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Like or watch live sports. That's why I have Direct. So hoping that'll save me some money there too.
I'm telling you, it's wonderful, and they've got all these packages. If you get this little flyer, they've got local TV. They've got all the things that you can get as well. Now I've talked to Dr. Causey about. He's the one who put me on to YouTube TV, and so I didn't think I liked it at first because I couldn't fast forward through commercials. But now I'm kind of understanding the nuances of that. But I'm still kind of playing around. But I shut down my Dish Network. I was with Dish Network for 20 years because they were like, "Are you really leaving?" I'm like, "Yeah," and just like them and AT&T, when I said, "Well, I'm with Cumberland Connect," they're like, "Oh." Right. They're like, "Oh, of course you're leaving because you got a gig and it's only $80 and it's cheaper and it's and we feel for our friends like Tiffany who don't have Cumberland Electric.
City limits.
Yeah, so she cannot have Cumberland Connect. But it is so wonderful for those of us who have. If you're a Cumberland Electric customer, that's the key. It is a utility, guys, and they're bringing you high-speed internet. You can get up to a gig for just $80. They have all kinds of TV packages that you can look into as well. And they've got folks just to help you walk through it and understand it, too. It is amazing. They're awesome folks, and if you want to know more, go to cumberlandconnect.org, cumberlandconnect.org, or call them at 1-800-987-2362, 1-800-987-2362. And we also have to mention, too, that if you're somebody that's struggling trying to pay for internet, Affordable Connectivity Program provides qualifying households with monthly credit to help you pay for internet services. If you are eligible, you could receive credit of up to $30 per month toward broadband services. When you get in touch with these folks, please let them know that you turn and Tiffany and Brian sent you.
Right.
Hey,
And
my friends, my Thursday friends.
And I have to say too, and I'm actually meeting with Susie Yonkers, who's their community development person,
good.
on Monday to do a little check presentation. It's something that she hooked us in with a grant program they have with TVA,
Awesome.
and we've received it before, and we were able to get it again, and that money goes directly back into the general fund here in Robertson County for our partner agencies. And so we're very excited to meet with her and appreciative of their partnership and her looking out for us on all these different revenue streams as far as ways to get money to go back in the community. So
very good.
Always serving too.
Appreciate Cumberland Electric so much, and appreciate you guys. It's just always fun to have you guys in here. And I've got to finish up something from last half hour. Aaron Slate put this up. Well, I was talking with Jamie. We were talking about the generations that were spoiled more than others, and there's a saying that I hear others say, and I've just never been able to roll it off my tongue, but Aaron put it up here for us. Hard times create strong men create easy times create weak men, and it cycles. Weak men create hard times, and then it cycles. It's that circle of life thing when it comes to how we raise the generations. And he was talking about, and this might tie into some of the things you are working with, but we were talking about the generations and working with the students today, and his generation being the Gen Xers and my generation.
That's what I am.
I'm right on the edge of the baby boomers, and I'm not sure I'm a baby boomer, but I may be just, I don't know if is Gen Xers after baby boomers or
yes.
What is it?
I'm a Gen Xer, and I'm square in the middle.
Yeah.
And we did a seminar one time when I was at my old job for the NCAA, and they put up definitions of the generations and like descriptions because we were working with, and they literally might as well put a picture of me next to the Gen X because it was like check. I mean, it's pretty remarkable that they're able to kind of pinpoint some of these based on society and the way you were raised and the parenting styles and mom working or whatever it was. It led to some of these things, and so yes, definitely Gen X. I think is 70 to 80. And then my wife is born in 81, and there's like a little bit of a buffer there before the millennials are the next one. So
there's got to be one then between, because I mean, I was in 62, and I know and I think there's probably different ones that gauge it. But at one point, I thought it was 60 to whatever was baby boomers, and so I'm not really sure what 70 to 60 is. Because I'm in 62.
Keep talking and we'll do that.
He's gonna Google.
He's gonna Google it. Mr. Google.
I get on the Gen Xers know how to use Google.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure where I fall, and I may be a solid baby boomer. I don't know. But we were just talking about. He said that when we came back from COVID, the ones everybody's accusing the millennials of not wanting to work, he goes, no, there's just not enough of them because the baby boomers are the ones that stayed home because they were right at retirement age. And I said, yes. I said, I was trying to come up with that. Hard times create strong men create easy times create weak men, because baby boomers were raised by those who came out of World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. They came out of that struggle, so they wanted to, hard times create strong men create easy times. They want to make it easier on their kids, and in turn, didn't necessarily give the best work ethic. I missed that in the sense I grew up on a farm, so you go and get a work ethic, and I'm so thankful for that, because a lot of my generation, not a lot, but some in my generation were just they don't have quite and especially ones just a little bit younger than me don't really get it. It's like, man, you got to dig in, you got to work. And so anyway, but that thing, hard times create strong men create hard times, and easy times create weak men.
I think it's hard to give your kids a work ethic in today's day and age, because it is so easy. Like even entertainment is easy. Like, you don't have to go to the movies anymore. You don't have to go to the arcade. You can have that all in your home, right in your living room. And so we've struggled with that with our own 5 kids. Like, how do we help them? Like, so we've grown gardens and stuff to try to at least teach them how, a little bit of, things like that. Just try to give them a little bit of work ethic, because it's too easy.
So you would be in the baby boomer, but right on there. You said you were born in 62?
62.
Yeah, so that they define it, and different ones move the year here or there, but 46 to 64 was a baby boomer, and that would be coming out of that World War II, like you were talking about. And then they go 65, 80 is the Gen X. So you're kind of on the edge. And my wife was 81, and so 81 to... And I'm gonna sound like a Gen Xer here because my eyes are going bad. 81 to 96 is the millennials, and then Generation Z is 97 to 12, and then whatever this freakazoid one that my kids are in now, they're called. I don't know what they are. So we're still defining that. So, but yeah, you're right on that. So you may share a little bit with us. And like my wife is way more in the in the Gen X category than the millennial as far as like her the way she was raised too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of it. Her mom was a teacher. I mean, they two work. I mean, like it was the definition of a lot of the latchkey kid stuff and the stuff that kind of defined the Gen X generation.
And
so.
I was very much raised in a baby boomer style,
Right.
I think, but I was a farm kid.
I think that negates a lot of the other stuff.
It really
If you grew up
does.
on a
If you
farm,
grew up on a farm, and my kids growing up on land like we did, and we had a business, and so we would give them chores, and they had to work. I mean, they were just not. They were spoiled, but not to the degree that a lot in their generation was, and which is very apparent now that you look and see what they're doing.
What's pre-boomer?
The silent generation.
The silent generation.
Yeah.
My parents were 44.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were.
Yeah.
I consider them boomers. But
Yeah.
they're
right
right
on that
the
edge.
Yeah.
I think if you're close to that, it's like you kind of share a lot of the, the attributes with that one that is the big clump. But
it's very interesting. I think it's just very interesting when you look at this, and I hope you're interested in what we're talking about. We're going to get into
stuff because of what we do.
Yes,
what we do is
absolutely,
and
and
things
it,
have changed, and I do think there's a distinct mark with the technology.
Yes.
So there's like a okay, we were kind of living in the Stone Ages with no internet and no whatever, and then that post where that's all we use. And I think the kids that were born into that, and that's all they know, versus the ones like my generation X, I was born in 75. Like we grew up probably very similar to y'all, and that you had a telephone in the house.
Yes.
You no internet, no phones, no nothing. Like that's, and I didn't have an email till I was in college. Like I literally grew up with none of that stuff, and you're just outside all the time. Like it was that, kind of more that style. And then post internet, like everything seemed like it changed because we all became connected. And so I think that's what we're seeing a little bit in what, Aaron's thing may be talking about with the easy time. And I've heard that before different ways, but things are easier, but what kind of kids are we producing from that?
Exactly.
Where they can get whatever they want when they want it. Is that a good thing? Probably not. We're going to find out. We're finding out probably.
What got this whole thing started is I'm talking about ethics in my classes. There's and not necessarily in audio video, though there's an aspect of that too, but I'm also teaching some communications classes and business classes, and we're talking about ethics. And so the question was, who's ever cheated? And it was like, well, of course we've cheated. And I'm like, what? You just so freely admit it, like, of course, it's just part of the world. And I said, the expectation from this teacher is if you do not do your own work, that's cheating, and that's not acceptable, and that's not ethical. And we got to talking about just the different things that they've been exposed to, and then I don't know, we got to talking again, then went from that into a marketing section and about how you distribute products. And I said, how many of you remember life before Amazon? And they're like,
there was
think
live before
any.
Amazon?
yeah.
In their high school, like they would have not had any.
And just, and so
Yeah.
it's just so much of that kind of thing that we talked about, and it's just, wow, it just blows my mind. It really does every day.
Well, at least they were
Every
honest
day.
about the cheating.
Oh, they totally were.
I think that's a good thing.
They totally were.
And
They
if
were.
we're all being honest, like, have we all cheated a little bit through school? Like when I say cheat, like not blatant, but like your friend helps you out with something, or you copied a paper word for word. For us, it was out of the encyclopedia. I'm gonna sound old now. They just grab it on the internet, but it's the same concept.
Yeah.
So if we're being honest, we've all kind of cut a corner here and there when we were in school. I mean, that's just I'll be honest. I did that. I mean, so yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember a whole lot of my educational time because I was like, I want to go outside.
Right.
Because I was that kid. And so
I just wanted to get it done.
Yeah.
That was it. It was not doing it. Like I knew how to do stuff, and now there's some math stuff. It was just like blew me by.
magic.
I need some help here. And so I had friends, but it wasn't like blatantly like I'm writing my thesis and or something like. I mean, this was grade school stuff that you kind of like. I need help on a test or something like that. Yeah.
I got some tests back, and it looks like they were just the timing of the turning in. I'm like, okay, it seems like y'all probably copied each other.
All right.
And so we're going to be much more careful about that, and not just assuming that they're going to do their own work, because I was kind of assuming that most of them would just do their own work, and I got a few, and we have a situation where the desks are just right. I mean, they're at the same table. It'd be like me giving you a paper and you a paper. That's the separation. So you're right there together because it's one table. And so I'm like, how am I going to do this? Because I want them to answer the ethical question. do your own work. And so, I don't know. Man, we're going down some rabbit holes here.
That's a tradition of the oldest time, though. That kind of makes me feel better that they're still doing it. I assume they just grabbed everything off their phone now. And, like, you didn't have to, like, because, I mean,
phones.
it's, well, I'm saying in general, like, for their work, like, it's all out there. Like, you can just get whatever you want. Any information you want is out there. And so... Yeah, but like with your friends, I mean, that's good that they're still using each other. So I think that's actually a positive thing. They're helping each other.
But do your own work.
Do your own work. I'm not condoning that, but it is what it is.
I encourage my kids to Google everything.
Yeah,
like, did you Google it?
As long as you learn it, man.
It's like you're asking the question. Did you look for yourself yet?
Are you learning?
Yes.
My biggest thing is, do my kids know where to go to find the information? And so that, I mean, because I'm learning every day.
I am too.
So as long as my kids know where to go to find information, that's like the basis of their education in my mind. So I'm like, what resources have you used? Google's not the only resource we use, but
I gotcha. So
I got a great transition here.
Okay,
to get us on track.
We got to get on track.
So I have a really good hero of the week, and I kind of didn't know what to do, and sometimes they just hit you, and it's beautiful. So, and I was having a conversation about this coach last night. So Coach Dustin Wilson, who's the head football coach at Springfield High School, has built an amazing program.
Yeah,
and when I say that, they've won on the field, that's great, but the type of kids and what they're doing, and you see them in the community repeatedly all the time. I'm seeing these kids out everywhere. So I'm pulling up to drop my daughter at school this morning. I see a bunch of young dudes walking up, and I'm like, is that a basketball team? And then finally I see some big old boys. I was like, oh, it's a football team. And they had their shirts on, and they were coming as part of the Dr. Seuss and everything that's going on this week to read to the kids at Coopertown Elementary. They read to the kindergartners and the preschoolers.
How cool.
And they have been doing this for years. This is not a new thing. So and also I'm going to give them a little more love. When they had the big renovation out there, they needed a bunch of desks and things moved because that school's been there forever, and it was a major project, and they didn't know exactly. The teachers were kind of tasked with that, like when they and so they called them. It was in the summertime. All those guys came out there, spent a day, moved everything, got everything where it needed to go. And so like he's repeatedly got these kids out in the community serving. They're doing great on the field. That's wonderful. But what he's doing with his program and those kids, and like we're talking about the generations and easy times and these kids are fantastic, man. That would have been a foreign concept in 1993 to get up early in the morning and go read to a bunch of kids with our basketball team. We would have been, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And these kids are doing it with a smile on their face. They were cutting up. They were obviously happy to be there. And so credit to that generation.
Outstanding.
Getting out and
Good
doing
hero
something
of the
in the
week.
community. Proud of you boys, and thank you, Coach Wilson, for the program you're building. He's going to speak at Rotary end of this month, so we're just having a conversation about him and one of his players who's exceptional and won an award that's a regional award, and we were talking about this last night. And so just really proud. I graduated from there, obviously. I'm very proud alum of there, but I'm just proud of the program he's built. I didn't play football, but I'm proud of what he's built and the type of young men that he's putting out into the world. That's going to resonate way more than whatever you do on the field.
Bet.
Yeah,
you bet. Job. Great hero of the week. I like that. And I love how you tied all that together. We're talking with Brian and Tiffany from United Way. What else do you have to talk to us about for United Way today?
Oh my goodness, we got so many amazing things going on. And normally I try to really shout out to like our local partners here in Robertson County, but a volunteer opportunity came up yesterday that I just felt like was awesome to share. They're looking for volunteers for Friday. For the 10th and the 11th with the Special Olympics down in Nashville. And this is just kind of an opportunity that we don't necessarily have right here in Robertson County, but it's such a unique opportunity. And so I'm going to give you the email address of the person to contact, but if you don't remember, just contact me and I'll give it to you again. But it's kking@specialolympics.tn.org. Again, that's kking@specialolympics.tn.org. So that's just kind of, I just thought that was a cool thing to be involved in. That's something that when I was in high school, something that I was involved in was helping with the Special Olympics, doing like the track and field timing stuff. And nothing will bring more joy to your heart than volunteering with the Special Olympics. Those individuals, those athletes are so full of light and love and determination that it's kind of amazing. So
very cool.
Yeah. So, and then we also have PCs for people. You're talking about connectivity. I've got a shipment of I think it's 7 or 9 pallets of computers and stuff.
Wow.
That's for our footprint, but we get quite a few of those. So if you know of anybody that needs a PC or internet, because we have both coming, please contact me at Tiffany.Thomson without a P, Thomson at UnitedWayGN.org. So, and we can hook you up. I've had quite a few people contact me, but we still have more. So that's awesome. CASA is starting their new class. They were going to start last night, but they're being audited by Tennessee CASA this week. And so actually today. So they pushed off their new class. So that gives you one more week to get your applications in, or contact Leah or me, and I'll hook you up. But
Tiffany worked for CASA before she came to United Way, so she knows her stuff, and she is a CASA.
I am a CASA. Yep, absolutely.
And then your husband going to become a CASA? He's going to be in this class. That's right.
Yes.
Cool.
And we need men to do it.
Absolutely.
We need lots of men. A lot of these children do not have positive male role models in their lives. And so I know particularly the kids that I advocate for, the men that have been in their lives have been damaging. So they need ones that actually build them up and love on them. So, and women, we need them all. Anybody will take anybody. So those are some of the things. Well, we talked about purses last week with hats. And so I wanted to bring that up again. If you've got lightly used or new purses, Hats is doing a big fundraiser in June. United Way is a collection point, so bring them by my office, and I'll be putting some stuff out on social media about this week or next, so that you can bring your purses by, and they're going to put them to good use. And I don't know, I'm just super excited about that.
That's really cool.
It is. Yeah. It's a fun idea, and I think they're going to raise a lot of money, and just a very cute, neat idea. And we have hats here in Robertson County.
Yep.
And you talked to Shannon Baumgartner about that. She handles it locally, and we've got to get her in and get an update, because I haven't talked to her in a while.
Yeah, they do great work. For anybody who doesn't know what Hats does, they help individuals with workplace, like helps them get a job. Maybe they need a job coach, so they can't do the job completely on their own because of their unique disabilities. So they partner with them and help them and train them. And so it's just an amazing program to help everybody feel loved and worthwhile. Again, like I said, these individuals like Special Olympics and Hats, if you need some joy in your life, this is where you need a volunteer or work, because Hats is always hiring. So.
Yes, they sure are. And that's something that, I have had friends that have worked there. Lee Marie has worked there from time to time. And that just so much that they talk about that you get through that program. Since we're mentioning the special needs, do not forget that you've got the Buddy League, I think they call it here, the Special Needs Baseball League. You need to contact them over at the center if you want to be a part of that. It is an amazing program. I know that the folks that volunteer with that, they go through Springfield Baptist. But since you mentioned that, I want to also mention, too, that's happening here locally. If you can't maybe make it to Nashville to do Special Olympics, there's a place that you can plug in right there.
Yep.
And be a part of that. And they were expecting maybe a team or something. They had something like 40, I think, last year that came in and played. And I didn't get to go and witness that, but I'm going to do my best to get over there this year.
They reached out to Rotary, and we had a couple of Rotarians that went over there and volunteered. And I had something that day, but Jeremy Taggart actually is the director at the Y. He went over, and he just said it was an awesome day.
Yeah.
It's really cool. He'd done it before, I think, somewhere else, but like something similar, but really cool opportunity if you want to volunteer. They have several dates available too. I think they have 4 or 5 Saturdays they can do. So if you can't do one Saturday, they need a lot of volunteers for it.
I was thinking it was a Monday for some reason.
Maybe you're talking about a different league. This is baseball for special needs.
Yeah, but maybe it is.
We got so much stuff going on.
I know, it gets jumbled in our minds.
Yeah, but go volunteer.
Yeah,
that's the point. Go out and do something.
Do it.
If you need a place to plug in, just let me know.
Call them.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I'm looking for, and especially this one's open to teens, especially if you need Tennessee Promise or Beta or whatever. Friday, Cope is dropping they're bringing down their winter stuff, or taking down their winter stuff and putting in spring. So they're doing a season changeover on Friday from 3 to 5:30 is going to be the time. I have like 5 kids, or maybe 4. I need about 6. So if you know anybody who's trying to get a couple hours, have time after school on Friday to go over there for a couple hours, all you have to do is take clothes off a hanger and put it in a bag. No special skills required. It's going to be easy, but it's a much needed service here in the community. Cope does amazing work. I just love them. But like we did our site visits last week, and just the amount of passion these people have for helping people overcome the trials that they have in their lives is just, this morning we talked I teach a religious class in the mornings before I come here. So this morning we were talking about the story of Christ, you know, and the waves, you know, in the boat and calming the waves. And it just like, that's what Cope does, is they help calm the waves for the people who are in the midst of the storm.
I love that illustration. Mm-hmm.
And so that's just one of the things that I love about what they do. They take somebody who's scared and terrified that they're going to get kicked out, or their, you know, utilities are going to be shut off, or they're not going to be able to afford their medicine, and they help them. So
very good. I love it. So if you want to volunteer, you're trying to find a place to plug in, call Tiffany at United Way, and she'll get you set up. So we're going to we need to do one more break, and then so that way, while we're talking, if you guys have any other things, I know you need to talk about your tax program for sure.
Yes.
We need to plug that. But anything else that you need to plug in. But we're going to talk about Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center, and Brian's here, so I'm just going to let him talk about how his garden was incredible. I quote you all the time because when you can say, okay, last year's the first year that I got all my bedding plants from Corbin, best garden I ever had.
That's it. And we've had one. I'm not like I'm not a green thumb guy, but we've done one for over 10 years now. My wife and I, like, just a little personal garden just for tomatoes and stuff. And it was it was so good. She was talking to me on the way home the other day. She wants to do a big garden this year and like till out some stuff and like really do it up. And so it's actually caused me more work in my life. So I'm kind of, not sure about this now, but it was so good and it was so easy. I mean, we didn't do anything special. We watered a normal amount, but that was about it. And it just kept producing, and they were healthy. And I had to chop some of them down while they were still wanting to put out, like in October. It's like, I'm done. I can't. I got sores in my mouth from all the tomatoes I've eaten. So I read for the acid. I'm done here.
I got you.
I ate that many, so I'm done. But it was just, we got everything there last year, and we used to kind of parcel from different, like go to Lowe's and pick up whatever, but we just did everything there and trying to support local business, and it produced overnight. I had plenty to give away. I was bringing it some Rotary. I mean, it was whatever. So I had plenty. So
you can bring me some tomatoes.
I will. I'll bring you some.
I doubt I'll grow. I don't think I'll have a garden. One of these days I'll have a garden again, but I can go. One of the things too, Amy, they will have a garden where you can get things from them as well. And so they're going to get busy real quick. I'm probably already there, but if you want to, just talk to her about all the things going on with your garden, if you want to talk to her about the CBD that's locally produced and from local plants, stop by and see her at 4920 Highway 161 in Springfield. The number to call is 615-384-3185, 615-384-3185. Follow them on social media. They keep you up to date with the hours there. They're still in their winter hours, 10 to 4, Monday through Saturday, and then Sunday from 1 to 4. But they'll be extending those really soon as we get on into the longer days. And
I love it.
I can't wait.
Love it.
So we're spring is here, guys, and don't cut back your evergreens. Let's see what's going to happen. She says just keep the shears up until you see what the spring's going to do, because a lot of things got damaged from that polar vortex. If you have anybody like me that has English ivy, it looks awful.
Good to know.
So I don't know what's going to happen, but don't cut it yet. She said.
We were just saying, so warm the other day. I was looking at the dead mums, and we have 2 planters outside the United Way office, and I was like, oh, it's time to get rid of those and put some flowers in. And so we're like, maybe we need to go Corbin Creek and grab some flowers, put in them.
Get some pretty bedding plants. So what else have we got, guys? We got a few minutes here.
Well, Brian's got something to plug, and then I'll plug our regulars after that.
I mentioned this, I think last week. We're very excited. We have days of action, and typically we've done 3. And when COVID came along, this is one that had to get nixed because we were in the schools. And it's our literacy initiative that we do in April. And so this one is called Bedtime Books. We're bringing it back. Very excited. First time since 2019. And basically what it is a book drive, but it's also a toothbrush and toothpaste and a plush animal too, like a little stuffed animal. So it's trying to create healthy habits and routines at bedtime, obviously tied into the literacy, 20 minutes reading to your child every night. But ways you can get involved: you can host a collection drive at your workplace to collect these items. You can just donate to the link directly to the cause we'll purchase. You can make a kit or several, or you can volunteer. April 5th, we'll be doing it at First Horizon Park in Nashville, but the items will be distributed throughout our footprint, including Robertson County. And so we'll have ample stuff here. But if you have questions, let me know. I've sent it out to some local companies already, but pretty simple. You get a book, grab a children's toothbrush and toothpaste and one little stuffed animal. Boom, you got a kit. That's it.
Okay. And when is the deadline?
We're doing it on April 5th, and so we'll probably accept all the way up until then, I would think, and to correct me if I'm wrong, but reach out to companies. Super simple thing to do. I think everybody understands the importance of reading to your kids, but for a lot of people that may be a foreign concept, and so this maybe will help create some healthy bedtime habits, and good for the kids to get plenty of sleep, but also good for them to read right at bedtime and have that kind of that right before they go to sleep.
I'm going to throw that out to our school and see if some of these homerooms, the cat times, don't want to bring some together, because we have a literary directive trying to get our kids more engaged in reading, and one way to make them more aware of the need is to help them fulfill that need for somebody else, because it's just another layer of awareness. Does that make sense?
It does.
So hopefully it'll get them back on track too. What
and
do you got?
I was just going to add to that, if you want to donate in Robertson County, you can just donate here. You don't have to take it down to Nashville. If you want to bring it by the office, and if you donate here in Robertson County, we'll keep it here in Robertson County. So I'm already reaching out to those agencies that are going to distribute this, and so so you don't feel like you got to go down to Nashville to be a part of this. We want it right here, and so, but it's amazing, like you were saying, bringing that awareness. I remember one of my first jobs out of college, we did one of those things where y'all start in a line and then they read off these things, and if that was true for you growing up, you got to take a step forward. If it was not true, you took a step backwards.
Yes.
The one, none of them shocked me as much as the thing, did you have books in your house growing up? That there was only like 3 of us that took a step forward, and most of them took a step backwards. I was floored, because my mom was a teacher. She worked, like, her career before having kids was she worked for Head Start, and so that I just thought every home had books. I had no idea that there were so many people that had grown up without books in their home, and so anyway, that's definitely one of those things that bring awareness to those that are lucky enough to have that. So
let's do it. And did you have one other thing you needed to mention?
Just Vida.
Out of time, but go.
Vida Saturdays. If you want more information about free tax prep, give me a call. And and if you need a place to plug in, let me know. I've got lots of openings for volunteers.
United Way, the bridge builder to the nonprofits. And they love to have your donation too. If you want to just pour into the community, they will make sure that it gets poured into the community just like it needs to.
Better believe it.
Appreciate you guys, my Thursday friends, my Thursday team here. And thank you guys for joining us tomorrow. Rachel Culver is planning on being here. We're hoping so. The mother of the groom, she's got a wedding coming up, so we're going to hope she can make it in. But that's the plan tomorrow for Faith Friday. Thank you for joining us. This is 1100 WSGI. God bless.